Alright. How's my Bojangles? I actually think he looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Give me a break, you know, it's with chalk, but it's a very slimming portrait of him, for sure. I think he would be very pleased with how I've depicted him, even though he kind of just looks like the logo that they put on the drug they named after him. Welcome! Another Bojack video. Here's the thing about every single season of Bojack Horseman. Every single season of Bojack Horseman, I would say, is awesome. I don't mean to disparage any of the seasons, really, even though this is a ranking, and it's just my opinion, so you know, don't get mad. I love the discussion, though. I mean, look at my Good Place ranking video. Someone in the comments disagreed with me entirely, but they were able to make their points in a very non-condescending and nice way, so thank you, sir, for that. But also, I decided to do this with Bojack Horseman next because it is my favorite show of all time. So, I'm gonna start with the best, obviously, but I will say that it's probably pretty obvious considering I already uploaded a video about it, but it's going to be Season 5. I really enjoyed Season 5 of Bojack. I feel like it was a really strong season with not a lot of faults. Even the first part of the season, which can sometimes in Bojack have a few pacing issues, felt it was really consistent. I thought that Season 5 did a really good job of giving each episode its own, lesson and reason to exist, rather than going for silly jokes. Obviously, the Showstopper is a forkin' incredible episode, along with Free Churro. Those two are probably my favorite episodes in the entire series, Showstopper being number 1. Free Churro is just so bold for an animation to try and even do that, and then Showstopper is like the opposite of Free Churro. It's so showy and in your face and very hard to follow, which I really enjoyed. I really liked the Blackout episode in Season 3, so this was almost like a nice sequel to that. Lots of good character work in this season, I will say. I was thrilled for the amount of detail we got on PC. It was so nice to watch her develop through this season. Her journey is heartbreaking, because she doesn't exactly get what she wants yet, but she has such a compelling story, and we finally get more insight into her past, which is something that I felt was touched on, not explored enough. I really enjoyed that she got, her own full, thought-out arc this season, and I think they used her really well. Not only her, Diane's got some wonderful stuff apart from Mr. Peanut Butter this season. Mr. Peanut Butter has, the most character work we've ever seen from him. And, of course, Bojack is always doing his own character work as well. Loved also the commentary about Todd and asexuality and dating. It was something that I did not know about. I loved the twists and turns of the story, though. There were lots of really intricate relationship developments between, Mr. Peanut Butter and Diane and Pickles, Bojack and Gina. Bojack's pretty much his relationship with everyone. He almost starts repairing things this season because you want him to after Season 4, but it doesn't really take exactly. And there's some great commentary on Hollywood this season. I really liked them kind of talking about their own show through Filbert. That was very interesting. I liked that they were like, hey, Bojack is, not a good person. Please do not take after anything he does and, expect to be sympathetic, because he is bad. But yeah, that's why Season 5 was my favorite overall. Just a lot of good things going for it. Plus, if you got a musical episode, you hooked me. Sorry. Season 3 is probably going to be number 2 on this list. It is so dark. I loved watching Bojack's downward spiral. I mean, come on. The appeal of this show a lot of times is wanting Bojack to do better, but also it's so dark and I love watching him spiral downward because it makes me feel terrible, but also kind of better about myself. Season 3 is a really hard season to watch because it's basically where he fundamentally destroys all of his relationships beyond repair. I loved that one by one. First it was Princess Carolyn, Diane, and then it was Todd, and he just kind of breaks down all of the relationships that he has in his life and loses everything. And then he goes to Sarah Lynn and fucking loses her too. Kind of destroyed her sobriety, but, it's really tragic to watch. Obviously, the episode where Sarah Lynn dies is like, traumatic, but it was, like, a step that I never expected this show to take. You don't really expect them to kill off anyone, except for maybe Bojack. And when you see them do it to Sarah Lynn, it's almost like, no. That's, like, impossible. It's just so awful to think about, you know? I almost cry thinking about it. How he's her TV father, and he outlives her. What he says at her funeral, like, oh, how many, you know, this was bound to happen. But it kind of wasn't bound to happen. She was kind of on the upswing. When I had caught up to the series, season 3 was the most recently released when I started watching it. So after that, I was kind of like, oh, this is my favorite TV show. I get it now. Right, that makes sense. Every moment where he loses people is so great too, though. I mean, they just really nail their storytelling this season. Obviously, the moment where Sarah Lynn dies is heartbreaking, but then you have the moment where Todd curses him out and finally leaves him. And it's like, what is this season doing? Is it just, like, removing every good thing this show has? Like, what the fuck? The fish out of water episode is a specific mention, of course. Like, they love taking chances in this show. It's the great thing about it. You know, they had an episode of someone just talking in front of a fucking podium, and now we've got an episode where nobody says a single word. And their animation style isn't exactly, you know, the prettiest. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not pretty, because I like their animation style. I'm just saying, you know, they really managed to hook you in with it. And the storytelling and cinematography is so good that it really doesn't need to be this incredibly animated sequence, because the way the story is told is great enough. The only downside and reason why this isn't my favorite season of all time is that the beginning of it can get a little slow. I liked the first episode, the premiere, but the 2008 flashback one and the one after that about investigating the dead stripper, it's, you know, they're fine. I don't especially love them, though. But, you know, my first time watching them, it was definitely not that bad. I mean, this is coming from someone who's seen the show like 8 times. So I'm saying, like, now when I watch season 3 and I get to Bojack Kills, I'm like, ooh, all right, let's watch it, I guess. The next one in the list is going to be right in the center is season 6. The final season. I really enjoyed the final season, and I thought it ended super strongly. The only reason 5 and 3 are above it are really because of pacing and a couple moments in season 6 that I feel didn't really hit. I'll get to that later. Season 6 has lots of ups and downs. One thing that's really cool about it is it really captures the process of bettering yourself really well. For every character are really improvement moments, and then moments where they really sink further and further down. I think specifically, obviously, Diane's story this season is like something to marvel at. It is a pretty incredibly written storyline. Good Damage is a fantastic episode, and honestly, was the hardest I've related to the show in a really long time. So, you know, we've got like Face of Depression in there, which is like kind of the biggest swing up we've ever seen for Bojack. And then later in the season, we've got the episode Angela, where Bojack fucking falls so far down, it's unbelievable. I don't want to say it's tonally uneven, because it definitely didn't feel like rushed from like point to point or anything, but it definitely has a lot of highs and lows. And I don't think necessarily a lot of the lows worked this time around. I would say specifically there were moments with Dr. Champ that I kind of feel were overplayed, right? Like when Bojack is leaving him and he's saying how he's ruined him and stuff, it really didn't hit me at all. I didn't feel much. Obviously it's terrible what happened, but I'm not gonna blame Bojack for it. It was a literal complete accident. And the way Dr. Champ blames him is a little harsh, and it's harder to see his point of view this time around than it is with like Gina or Wanda or no, fuck Honest Monocopita, Hollyhock. It's interesting because I still liked those episodes a lot, and I think they have a lot to say about rehab and about the distinctions between therapy and therapy horses. But that is really the only part of season 6 that I didn't like. I think it has, in both arcs, both parts, really strong starts. I love focusing on one person at a time. A Horse Walks into Rehab is the first episode, The New Client, which is just Princess Carolyn, with the second, and then Feel Good Story, which is just Diane as the third. Because it really sets, and then Surprise, obviously, is 4, and that episode's fucking hilarious. It's like, I can't. It's so funny. But focuses mostly on Mr. Peanut Butter, even though the characters kind of clash on that one. But anyway, I really like how it happens in part 2 with the Bojack's Theater Night. I like how all the storylines went kind of one by one to lead into it. It was really smart, and I think they really kind of nailed the pacing of this season. Obviously, View from Halfway Down is incredible. I don't know if I really need to sing the praises of that episode. It's like, what is there to dislike about that? It's their best episode, by far. It hurt me physically in a way that words really never have. Right below season 6 is season 4. Now, I know this might be controversial because a lot of people really, really like season 4. I had some problems with the pacing of this season, namely how there were so many great special episodes, right? The Old Sugarman Place, where Bojack goes back to his family house. Stupid Piece of Shit. Ruthie is like my favorite episode of the whole show. Time's Arrow. My god, so many fantastic episodes. But the ones that are not those episodes are kind of like, nah. Some of them are good. I liked Thoughts and Prayers. That's a really good side episode, but Underground, works, but then it also really doesn't work. The presidential election stuff is kind of funny, but it kind of gets old after a little bit, and it goes to, the end of the season. So I feel like it had a lot of really great stuff where it was a step up from season 3, and I will say, probably if I can objectively, the seasons get better as they go along. They get more in quality and they figure out what the audience likes more. So season 4 had so much awesome shit. Stupid Piece of Shit is a landmark episode for the show, but I feel like it was just missing kind of a coherent see-through plot. Whereas season 2 and 3 did really well with that, and I'll explain season 2 obviously later in the video. Season 2 is under season 4 and a lot of these, mostly because of the first, the premiere is great. I love Brand New Couch so much. It sets a formula that the series uses for their premieres every season, if you know what I'm talking about. I love the way Bojack's mom comes into it, and they make her a more real person and not just a cold, awful, whatever, I have no feelings, and am just a terrible mother that she was from season 1, where she was just mean for the sake of being mean. I really loved that, but the episodes that follow that one, I am not super fond of. They've got some, of course, great stuff, but a lot of them spend a lot of their time on relationship stuff, which is important for Bojack's character, but definitely not the most interesting thing to focus on. Although they are hilarious. I loved the KGB sleeper agent coming back. The good thing about season 2, and the reason why it's not the lowest on the list, and honestly, maybe I should give it more credit than season 4 at times, because the end game of this season is insanely solid. I mean, started at Hank After Dark and move forward. All the episodes after that are incredible. As soon as you get to the second half with Hank After Dark, it becomes incredible. I mean, it's Hank After Dark, Let's Find Out, The Shot, Yes and, Escape from LA, Out to Sea. All of those episodes are fucking incredible, and obviously Escape from LA is one of the best episodes the show has ever had, blah 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 blah. It's so genius because of the shock value, and oh my god, Bojack's so horrible. I'm pretty sure you've heard people talk about that at length. I could talk about it more, but not right now. It's interesting that they actually really, really nailed the show this season. There's very few parts of season 2 that I consider iffy, and most of the humor starts to really work, even the especially silly stuff, which I sometimes felt was a little much in season 1. Which is why, at the bottom of my list, to the surprise of no one, is season 1 of the show. Now, season 1 is not bad, by any means. The beginning is a little bad. They just really haven't figured themselves out yet. The humor can get a little cringy at times. I don't think a lot of the jokes do not land. Some of them land a lot. And I think they needed to kind of put everything into the salad tosser here to exactly figure out what would work for their show and what wouldn't, which is why season 1 is so important. Obviously, Downer Ending fucking rocks. I love that episode. They are, like, the writers of this show are, like, dedicated to taking the biggest chances possible, and Downer Ending is a real testament to that. So, I obviously love that episode, but besides that, you know, you think about it, and I don't know if there's so many other standout episodes. The Telescope is great, but, and learning about Bojack's backstory is fun, and I like that they are able to ground the show in reality and have super dark moments once in a while. The ending of Downer Ending is a downer. No, incredibly depressing. It was the first time the show really made my gut, like, sink. If you agree with this ranking, let me know. Again, from top to bottom, it was 5, 3, 6, 4, 2, 1. Let me know if you disagree with that ranking in the comments below, and tell me what your ranking is, because this is my favorite show. I'd love to talk about it more. But if you have not already, please subscribe to Positivity. We need people over there. Alright, but if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, of course, do all that stuff. But Positivities are going to be our new channel, so subscribe to that one. And, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/TV_wins if you would like to move on further. Extra content, early content, and you get to choose exactly what you want to see on the channel. So it's a really cool way to get ahead. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments below. I already said this. I have a problem. I do outros. Ow, my wrist. This video's a mess. I do outros, like, way too many times in a row. I'm not sure why, but I just need to, like, stop and end the video. So maybe editing, Alex, you could just, like, cut it off right here. Maybe. I'll, like, bye. I mean, like, you should probably cut it off already, so. I will see you next time. Yes.